test. Yep. Okay, yeah, I got you. And I had to figure out how to do the part at that, and then at 8 o'clock. We had It's 11 o'clock. I want to welcome everyone to the Henry County Commissioners meeting for June the 12th. Everybody will take their places and we'll get started. I would appreciate it if everyone would rise, and we'll have a pledge of allegiance followed by the short prayer. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to be here on this beautiful day. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the citizens of Henry County in our designated positions. We ask you for your blessing. We ask you for your strength. And we ask you for good decisions. In your name we pray. Amen. The first item of business before we get to the minutes and so forth, we're going to have a bid opening. We have received 4 bids for construction of Bridge 126 on Garner Street. And the first one that we received is from Brumball Construction. Brumball Construction. The second one is from E&B Paving. The third one is Hoosier Pride Excavating, located 9150 North Prairie Road, Springport, Indiana. And the fourth one is from Duncan Robertson from Franklin, Indiana. And these 4 bids will be given to the Henry County Engineer, Joe Copeland, and he's going to review the bids for their completion and hopefully report back to us before the end of this meeting so we can deal with that. So next.
Yeah, I think we make the motion. Bids have clear prices. I heard you read aloud.
To read aloud the bid amounts. Find the bid amount. Here's a total.
Mm-hmm.
The total that I have located for the proposal which one was this from?
Duncan Roberts.
Duncan Robertson. We have a total of $791,482.75. Repeating, $791,482.75 for Duncan Robertson. Hoosier Pride Excavating. The total is $806,412. $806,412.
E&B Paving.
E&B Paving, $816,000. $816,000.
And Brumball.
Brumball Construction. The total is $935,000. $935,000 for Brumball.
I will make the motion to take these bids under advisement for Joe Wiley to review and come back to us with a recommendation.
The motion has been made by Commissioner Plummer that Engineer Joe Copeland, not Joe Wiley.
Did I say Joe Wiley? Sorry, Engineer Joe Copeland, so sorry.
Joe Copeland, would you step forward and pick up these bids? There's been a motion made to accept the bids. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. Have the commissioners had an opportunity to review the minutes of the last meeting? And if so, is there a motion?
Make a motion, we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0. Have the commissioners had an opportunity to review the claims?
Make a motion, we accept the claims as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Have the commissioners had an opportunity to review the payroll?
Make a motion, we accept payroll as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. We have 5 reports. The first one is a construction permit application for a sanitary sewer. And we have the approval from the Indiana Department of Environmental Management. Is there a motion?
Can we just approve all the reports at once? Okay. You just want to go through them all and we'll approve them.
The second one is for A&R Pipeline. It's an operating permit renewal. The third one is from the Office of Water Quality in regards to Draper. There's a permit that's been issued. The fourth one is from Innovation Technical Solutions Report for May 2024. And the fifth one is a Treasurer's Monthly Report.
Make a motion, we accept reports as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0. We have 3 claims for the food and beverage money. The first one is for BW Construction LLC in regards to the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. The invoice is for $5,890.91. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. The second claim from Food and Beverage is for Holiday Construction Group for the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame edition. The invoice is for $151,108.29.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. The third and final food and beverage claim is for Browning Day, and it's in regards to the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, an invoice of $8,736.52.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Did either one of the commissioners receive any information from Corey?
I have not.
Corey or, yeah, I don't see Corey for an EDC update. Chamber of Commerce update. Don't see anyone. Josh Estel for our insurance.
Okay, make this quick. 3 things. I did send to you guys Monday, our health plan year ended June 1, and we finished the year of 400,000, over 400,000 less than budget on claims. So it was another good year from that standpoint. We've got the property and workers' comp insurance renewing on July 15th. Unfortunately, as you guys know, we've had a probably 35+ year relationship with IPEP on our workers' comp, and they decided to non-renew our policy in July. It's kind of been an up and down 6-7 years with claims. Had one really large one this year that I think probably ultimately, even though there's nothing we could do about it, it probably ended up tipping the scales for them to do that. The good news is that we did get a quote from Argent, that is owned by West Bend. They do a ton of municipal work comp. There's only really 3 markets out there doing counties for work comp. Bliss McKnight is the other one, and they declined the comp. The positive news is the rates per 100 of payroll are quite a bit less than what they were last year. The bad news is our experience mod, which is the state assigned modifier based on 3 years of claim history. That every carrier has to multiply your starting premium by that number. It was a 1.34 last year. So as an example, if your premium is 100,000 to start, then it has to be 134,000 by law before the carrier can adjust it up and down. If the experience mod was say a 0.7, then it takes that down to 70,000 as a starting point. So the state basically is assessing or crediting you on your workers' comp based on loss history of a 3-year period. And unfortunately, our experience mod went from a 134 to a 1.7. So a 36%, we would have been looking at a 36% increase off the bat if the rates had stayed the same. But they came in and reduced those rates by about 21% from where they were. So they offset a huge chunk of that mod increase. So we're talking about a right at 20% increase from, well, I think it's just under 20%, but 235,000 to 287,000 on the workers' comp. That did adjust for updated payroll. So that payroll is about 4% higher. So part of that change is payroll. But overall, if we'd have been forced into the assigned risk plan, which that would have been the kind of last resort option, we would have been looking at a significantly higher premium. And in the assigned risk plan, when your premium's over 100,000, they can retroactively charge you based on bad claim years, assess you. So this was a really good result. Bobby and I met with the safety people from Argent. They've already been out. Everything checked out. There's a couple little minor things they want us to do that we talked about, but all in all, very happy because I didn't know 30 days ago, if the assigned risk plan was going to be where we were going to land. Any questions on the work comp piece? Okay, so real quick on the property, inland marine, which is our equipment and our crime. We didn't know what to expect. And quite frankly, I expected travelers to non-renew this policy in July because they canceled everything else in March, as you know. So we had already basically marketed this with the entire market thinking that travelers was not going to renew it. And they ended up offering a very good renewal. Every other quote we had 100,000 minimum wind hail deductible, and travelers, we have a 5,000 all perils now. And they offered a 10,000 all perils with no wind hail on the renewal, which is fantastic. And the rate change is only about 12% overall. So really, really good renewal from travelers. Again, as much bitterness as we might have over the things that happened a few months ago. I don't know that we're bitter enough to take on 100,000 deductible instead of 10. So
everybody else that quoted that did quote $100,000. Is that right?
Chubb was probably the closest pricing wise, and they had 100,000 wind and a 50,000 water deductible. And everybody else had at least 100,000 wind.
So we're saying at the $10,000.
Yeah.
Or increasing to 10,000.
Yep.
I think that's great. I don't have to like them. Take their money.
So, I mean, I don't know if you want to approve it. It's going to renew as is. If we don't do anything, we probably
Let's go
should.
ahead and make the motion.
Approve
I'll make
both
a
of
motion
them.
to renew with travelers for inland and property.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Next, we have Mr. Bruce Aaron. Thank you.
I'm here to appeal again for help on the guest house roof. Last time it was tabled. You want more time to think about it. In the meantime, I was able to raise 25,000. And that would bring it down to 462. If you did decide to approve the first amount, the 25,000 could be used to repair damages from the leak and further the ministry of the guest house. We've been there 13 years now. And as far as I'm concerned and everybody involved, that facility is dedicated to the county for work or ministry for addictions and homelessness. So any questions or considerations?
You, guest house doesn't actually own the building, correct?
I'm sorry,
The
Steve?
guest house does not technically own that building, correct?
Right.
So who is the actual owner of the building?
The church, which is, the name is the house. And we have a 5-year lease. Every 5 years it's renewed, so it's just been renewed. So the guest house has a 5-year lease with the church.
I'll say.
And in that lease, they are to maintain and.
The church is to maintain the building?
Pardon?
The church is to maintain the building? You
The
said the
guest
church is
house,
called the house?
as long as the guest house is using it, they are to maintain the facility. And do all the
The
repairs.
guest house pays rent?
Yes. But also the church supports it too, so the rent they pay actually does not cover all the expenses. The church picks up the rest.
I know we've already given $100,000 and I think the guest house does a great job, so please don't get me wrong. I just don't know that we can do, there's so many other things also that are being requested, you know, that we can give another $60-some thousand.
But you all know that the record of the guest house.
Oh, absolutely. It's
So-
a great facility. I understand that.
If we don't get this, it's really going to be tough for us. Because we've got, the roof is in bad shape, beyond repair.
So I guess,
Tough for us as in you're gonna close?
Pardon?
Tough for you as in you're gonna close it?
No, it won't close. No, I guarantee you it won't close.
Okay.
I just don't
I
know
just wanted
how.
to make sure that that was,
I just don't know how we're going to fix a roof. That's the thing.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Steve.
well, I was just curious. I mean, we gave the money to fix the roof, which I thought we were fixing the whole roof when we gave the original amount. And for this other part to be that bad within 6 months,
Well, that was not, this was not repaired. It wasn't leaking at the time that we fixed the other roof. This is another wing over the cafeteria part. And it's 13,000 square foot of roof surface.
Did you, explore any other grant opportunities or anything else to help facilitate this besides the fundraising that you got for the 25,000, or
Pardon me, now,
any grant opportunities above the 25,000 that you've raised to help facilitate part of this?
I don't really know how to go about requesting, grants. I know the Community Foundation do not grant money for repairs. That building is 100 years old. And as far as I'm concerned, it's going to serve the community it could be another 100 years. I mean, it's a lot better shape now than it was. And,
Let me ask this question.
Okay.
If this opioid monies were not available, what would you do?
well, I really don't know, Bobby. But, I'm here because of the opioid money.
So I know we gave, it was the Hope Initiative for the Women's Transition. I think we did up to 130,000, if memory serves me correctly on that one. I think the Recovery House and Sheriff, because you said on the board for the Recovery House, I think we did up to 100. In different stages, it's going to be up to 130,000 on the Recovery House, roughly, somewhere around in there. If memory serves correctly. Oh, I thought you were on, it was listed on the document I received that you were on the board. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. The documents they gave me where you were on the board, so apologize. So I would be willing to go another $30,000 to take up to what we've done for everybody else at this point. I don't know that I would go for 62,000, so I will make the motion to appropriate $30,000.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve $30,000 to the guest house for.
Of the opioid funds, I should say, for that.
Do what?
I should clarify of the opioid funding.
From the opioid funding. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0.
That
Hope
does
that
have to
helps.
go through the council as well.
Pardon?
That does have to go to the council as well.
Yeah.
So the next step will, Joel will update the resolution or ordinance, bring it back to us at our next meeting, and then it'll go to the council.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda are the department reports. Henry County Health Department, Coroner's Office,
He doesn't have anything.
the Highway Department,
Good morning. As far as the bids, do you want to do those now?
yes, that's fine.
Be all right? All right. Low bidder for this project for Bridge 126 on Garner Street.
Could you move your microphone?
The low bid is $791,482.75 from Duncan Robertson out of Franklin, Indiana. And I would recommend that the commissioners award the project to them.
I will make the motion to award the Bridge 126 project to Duncan Robertson for the amount he listed, because I didn't get it written down.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0.
I need some paperwork signed for this. I need Form 96 signed and the contract signed also. So do you want to do that later, or you want to?
Debbie, you wanted to do it, you wanted to, Debbie can just do it at the end and then we get you the copies, or how do you want to do it?
I
I'm
will,
okay either way.
let me give her the bids and I'll open it to Form 96. That's what needs signed, and there's a contract in there also. No. No. This is
Stays away
community crossing matching grant funding.
You stay
So-
away from federal money.
So that it will be reimbursed or paid, 75% of the construction will be paid by the state with community crossing matching grant funds. Yeah. I've got a couple other items. There's an agreement, professional services agreement that was put together by SJCA. And the problem is their old on-call agreement had expired. And this is to renew that on-call with SJCA, but I guess I just got it hot off the press this morning. And I guess they had put Randolph instead of, instead of Henry County to sign. I don't know whether Joel would prefer just to mark it out and do it, or get a new page.
I'd say go ahead and approve it subject to getting, I mean, I think they'll be able pretty easy to get a cover page. So I'd
Yeah.
say approve subject to getting a cover page.
Okay,
I'll make the motion to approve the professional services agreement with SJCA contingent upon a new cover page, taking Randolph County out and
Also,
Henry County.
take the signature.
and the signature block.
got it.
I'll
You
second
handle
that as
that
long
to
as
the
we
email,
have
Debbie.
representatives from SJCA do the proofreading from now on.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0. Thank you.
One for Joel also. This is a task order to go along with the on-call services, and what this is inspection for the Garner Street Bridge, Bridge 126, with a not to exceed of 25,000. They say estimated, but I'll be back if they need more. All right, we will not exceed the 25. For them to do the inspection on that bridge. Task order number 1.
I'll make
The
a
money's
motion.
there, so.
I'll make the motion to approve task order number 1, supplemental to the prime agreement for the inspection of Bridge 126.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0.
You have anything?
Good.
And that's it? Well,
Thank you guys
Thank
for
you.
taking all the emails and phone calls and text messages on all the different potholes.
um, The Garner Street Bridge, I thought I'd fill you in also that it can be closed for 120 days. Garner Street, up to, not to exceed, okay? So sometime between now and next May 1st, that bridge will be closed for a while. I've coordinated this with the state, NDOT, and I'm gonna let them know that they can close after May 1st, but they're doing a concrete rehab project on 38 east of 3, and we didn't want to close both roads at the same time because of access to the hospital. So I'm going to contact the project manager with NDOT, and he didn't have a problem with the May 1st. So I'll let him know that he'll have to close after May 1st of next year. So, all right.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Henry County Surveyor Steve Rest.
Good morning. I've got a contract here that I think Joel's looked over. It's through United for the 2024 Section Corner Reestablishment Project. The money's taken out of the Section Corner Fund, so it's funded through that. I don't know if you got any questions on it, but it's just getting more work done for Section Corners.
Joel, you
I
reviewed.
looked at it and it's changed.
I'll make
You're
the mo-
okay with it?
Mhm. I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded to approve a professional services agreement between United Consulting and Henry County in regards to the section corner reestablishments. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
leave these with Debbie and I'll get a copy.
Tom Green. The Sheriff's Department for a department report.
Good morning. I only have one item on our agenda that we just found out about 2 hours ago, so I don't know if this is the time to talk about it. I just want to be able to speak to that and ask a few questions before a resolution is made on it, so just let me know whenever.
We have that on the agenda
Okay.
later in the meeting.
Yeah. Will I be able to speak before we make a motion on it, I assume?
I would say so,
Okay.
yes.
Just you let me know when.
Thank you. Auditor's office.
I have a quote from New County Glass and Mirror to put, we had a new counter put in the office, and we would like to have glass put up in the front of it. And the quote is for $1,662.50.
That's to put so where the new counter is, that's to put the security glass so that nobody can crawl over, go over. I said it's the security glass to keep everybody from going over because we don't have doors back there to secure. And this can be paid for out of the GEO bond. So I will make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Will they send a new one without the sales
Motion
tax?
passes 3-0.
That's just the quote.
Our next office would be the clerk's office, and the county commissioners would like to express our deepest condolences to our clerk, Jenny Grubbs, for the loss of her grandson. Memorial Park. Nothing. Jody Brown, assessor. Oh, excuse me. There, Memorial Park. Step right up, Mr. McCall.
Apologies for not being in better attire. I'm working across the street over here. As you're aware, we've awarded the Phase 1 project for the shelter house to SBK. We're in the process of working through the construction contract on that. We have a meeting tomorrow morning at 10, and we will open the bids for Phase 2 and Phase 3, which is the excavation and concrete work under Phase 2, electrical and plumbing under Phase 3 for the renovation of the shelter house. And as you're also aware, we are in the process of draining the lake. We've had some issues. We believe that a portion of concrete that was in the bank of the dam of the lake has slid down and blocked the hole that was bored in the side of the spillway, so it's slowing the drainage. They're trying to resolve that and get that removed so that we can continue to work on the pond.
So when are the bids going out to dredge the pond?
So that's a different committee. September Clark's in charge of that committee. They have not put the scope of work yet together. For the simple fact, we don't know how much longer it's going to take for the lake to dry. But they're waiting for that. So they'll wait until the lake is completely dry, and then whoever's awarded that contract will go in with end loaders and such. Instead of dredging the mud, they'll go in and dig the dry dirt out, and it's easier to haul. But I don't have a timeline on that. We'll get that for you as to when they estimate. Any other questions?
Are we just doing the two that we're draining? We're not gonna do the
Yes.
bottom one? And
Yes.
is there a reason we're not doing the bottom one while we have the others drained, that we could do all three of them at the same time?
No, that's a good question. We were primarily focused with the limited amount of funds that we have. We were primarily focused because of it was recognized early, the shallow nature of the lake up there, the Shively Lake. And so we knew that we could do those two simultaneously without any issues. We also know that the bridge is a concern, so we're tackling two things at once, not the third being the lower lake. But we are trying to tackle the bridge at the same time that the primary lake is drained and dry and figure out an approach on that. So we are trying to get after those two at once. There just wasn't any conversation about the lower lake. I don't believe there's any awareness that that we've got the same problems as far as starting to fill in with sediment, that kind of thing. It doesn't have as many tributaries coming into it, the culverts and drainage pipes that produce all the sediment that have filled in to where we had most of the lake was 2 feet deep. And so we knew that was the primary problem. But no, the lower lake hadn't even been a discussion point up to this point. Any others? You don't get us very often, so I want to give you as much information as we can.
That's
Good.
greatly appreciated is the information part, because when we start getting the calls, we don't have a response to give sometimes, and so it's very helpful. Thank you.
And of course, we had a little bit of TV coverage recently, which hopefully was more positive than negative. You got to take a step backwards to take a step forward, and so that's what we're trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Lovelace. Weights and measures. 911. Brian, we good? Henry County Emergency Services, Mandy. Bill Upchurch, Treasurer. Scott Hines, Tim Welsh.
Yeah, District 6 Mutual Aid Agreement, that's later on.
We have that later on, yes. Susan Lightfoot from Probation, or Joni Williams from Henry County Community Corrections. Next, we have a quote from Piney Engineering for a motor starter, and this has to do with the Justice Center. We're pleased to quote it, replacing a chilled water pump motor starter P4. The chilled water pump motor was just replaced. When we put voltage to the new motor, the motor starter main lug failed, where the power comes into the panel. This is what probably took out the old motor. The motor starter is no longer made, and we will need to be replaced. The new motor is in and ready to go, but it will need to have a new motor starter. The total for that is $5,293. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve. We can also pay that out of the general obligation bond. Is that right, Debbie? The general obligation bond.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the Piney Engineering quote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. The next repair work order is from TK Elevator Corporation in regards to elevator located in the
I believe it's actually in the Masonic building, not in this building.
Masonic
Yes.
building. And the quote is for $4,577.20.
I will make the motion to approve the repair of the elevator in the Masonic building.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0. Next, we have the District 6 Mutual Aid Interlocal Government Agreement. Tim Welsh.
I believe I forwarded it to everyone. With Joel, you've seen it as well. It's the same agreement that's been sent to all of the counties in District 6, which are listed in the agreement. It's just basically saying that we'll all work together There's been agreements in the past, but they're quite outdated. This was brought up recently, so I've passed it on to you. My recommendation through the EMA is to agree to it.
I will make the motion to accept the District Six Mutual Aid Agreement so that we can all work together. It's always great when everybody works together.
Great.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the District Six Mutual Aid Interlocal Government Agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Owner occupied grant. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Hi there, I am Stacy Finley from ARA out of Columbus.
Could you move the microphone a little closer? We're live streaming, so it'd be difficult for
Okay.
them to hear. You have a nice, sweet, quiet voice, so.
I'm Stacy, I'm from ARA, we're based out of Columbus. I am presenting about the owner occupied rehab. Henry County has been recipients of that grant in the past. They were able to help around 40 homeowners. If that is something that Henry County would be interested in again, there's no fee to apply, but it's $250,000 if the grant were awarded. And the matching portion that would need to be provided if we were awarded the grant would be $27,000. And that could be anything, it's strictly homeowners, not renters. But it's a lot of like roofs, it could be siding, it could be ADA compliant ramps. The only thing we really don't do is if it has to do with lead-based paint, we don't really get into remediation if there's lead-based paint involved. But like I said, Henry County was involved before, and there was about 40 homeowners that benefited from the program. The next step would be if you would choose to do it, you would just procure grant administration services, and then whoever you would pick, they could begin to start to write the grant. The grant is due the mid-August. Ideally, the grant should be submitted at the beginning of August.
So, and this will be the second or the third round that Henry County has done with the owner occupied. Is it the third?
So Henry County was awarded for the pilot program and they received an allocation of 250,000. Well, then they received almost another, I think, 200,000. So this would be the third time Henry County would be applying for this grant. And you actually get bonus points if you've done the program in the past. So Henry County would be awarded 25 additional points with the scoring system through the state for participating in the program in the past. I want to say that altogether Henry County has received almost $500,000.
I think so.
It was like 480 and some change. So upwards of $500,000.
So Joel, because there's a match to it, would we have to approve this contingent upon the council approving a match? Funding a match? I think this has been, I mean, I have been part of this program. This last one, I don't think the first one was before I was here. But it has helped a lot of people, a lot of low-income people. So I will make the motion that we start the process for applying for this grant contingent upon the council approving any match that would be required for the program.
I would agree with the fact that it's a good program, and I will second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the Optum Managed Transplant Program.
This is just part of our insurance, policy. If you want to read through it, so everybody knows what it is.
Policyholder has selected the following critical care benefits plan, the Optum Managed Transplant Program through United Healthcare Insurance Company. The Managed Transplant Program is underwritten by United Healthcare Insurance Company and administered through Optum. Based on state-specific assumptions and experience updated annually, the 2024 premium rate change is 12.5%. Renewal premium rates. Says the employee is $6.50. Employee spouse is $14.65. Family rate is $19.73. Rate for the employee plus children would be $11.96.
And it's my understanding that we pay it as part of our premium. It does not come out of the employee's premium at all.
Doesn't change the employee contribution.
No, it does not change the employee contribution at all.
By signing this document, I agree to renew the Managed Transplant Program policy. Is there a motion?
I will make the motion to accept.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0. Juvenile Behavioral Health Competitive Grant.
This is the grant for the probation department, isn't that right, Debbie? For the probation department for
$155,859.07. So the purpose of this grant is a funding source. And we are asked to approve this grant agreement.
I believe this is a standard grant that she goes and gets every year. Is that right? Or is
No,
a
this is a new grant.
This is a new
that
grant.
She's got,
That-
yeah, she has it for 2 years.
Okay. I will make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the grant agreement for $155,859.07. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0. The exportation of high water volumes, ordinance number 2024-03-26002. Are we reading the entire ordinance, yes or no?
So we have to have it 3 meetings to approve, is that right? Or we can approve
You can approve.
tonight, or today?
Saturday.
Okay. I will make a motion to approve the 2024 ordinance 2024-03-26002. We have made this available to anybody from the last meeting that wanted to see it regarding the water. This actually protects the water of Henry County, and I know Tom has done a lot of research. I don't know if you want to talk about it at all, but with the Boone County IEDC project that was taking place this last year, and they were trying to force Lafayette to export their water. I know Tom has done some research on it.
As we know, of some of the counties in Indiana and a lot of counties and cities around the country, water is becoming an increasingly valuable asset to those communities. In Indiana, there's been quite a controversy. Some of the eastern or western, northwestern parts of the state are being tasked with providing water to areas around Indianapolis where there's a lot of growth. And we see some other areas around the state wanting to take waters from other counties. We have some counties around us that do not have as plentiful access to water as what we have. And surrounding counties in other areas, other countries or other states go into adjacent counties or into areas where they can get water and put in large volume collection wells and pump that water out, which can cause problems in the area they take the water from. So this is an effort to try to avoid that happening here. We already know that some counties around us, particularly to the south where water is not as adequate as it is here, have been approaching people in Henry County about drilling wells that would move water to adjacent counties.
And the definition of, in the ordinance of high volumes of water means water in excess of 100,000 gallons per day, calculated either on a daily basis or an average on a monthly basis, where the water is extracted from a single well or combination of wells, and whether such water is transported by a single pipe or a combination of pipes. This does not, resolution does not include the municipalities that have their own water source, Newcastle, Spiceland, Louisville.
That is,
The only ones, there may be another one, Middletown, Knightstown.
that is correct.
They are excluded from this ordinance because they have their own municipalities, their own
Right. That's
water
right.
system.
And it doesn't exclude farmers that are on the edge of the county that have farmland in adjacent counties from using their own wells to move that water to their
Correct,
land in adjacent counties as well.
correct.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor of the ordinance number 2024-03-26 in parentheses 002. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Our next resolution is a resolution amending the pay schedule for Henry County employees.
Okay, before we read the ordinance, I want to go through a time frame of when we implemented Right Stuff and what has been transpiring. So we started Right Stuff in 2023. Actually, we approved it in 2022. We started implementation in 2023. All of the departments began to set it up and use it. Unfortunately, one department, the sheriff's department, refused to use it. Spoke to Joel Harvey regarding the options, and there were several options. One of them being amending the pay schedule, which at that point in time thought that was, and I think Commissioner Dillinger also talked to him about it, thought that was too harsh to move forward. So we had communicated that it was our policy, in our policy, that Right Stuff, or that every department was to use the official software or system. The sheriff questioned that because there wasn't an official ordinance. So we created and passed an ordinance naming Right Stuff the official timekeeping software. Still would not use this. Meeting was to take place with Steve Dellinger, Joel Harvey, Stephanie Whitehead, and the sheriff to discuss Right Stuff. I don't remember if it was the day of the meeting or the day before the meeting. Joel, you can remind me. Joel received a phone call from legal counsel that the sheriff had retained to fight using Right Stuff. That meeting could not take place because Joel Harvey could not meet with the sheriff because he would not have his legal counsel with him, and we could not meet with him or discuss any of this without his legal counsel present. Sometime later, I don't remember the time frame, Joel received a phone call from the sheriff's legal counsel stating that the sheriff would implement the Right Stuff system. And he listed the things that would need to be done. Right Stuff would need to help and come on board, work with them to get this set up. That was always in the plan to do. Nothing still took place. Then the matron was off work due to an accident, and the sheriff told Commissioner Wiley, when asked about implementing Right Stuff, that Commissioner Wiley was told he would need 3 weeks to implement this after the matron returned to work. The matron's been back to work full-time for a couple months now. Still, nothing has moved forward. The sheriff was asked this week about the status, and I believe his response, and Commissioner Wiley, you can confirm if this was his response. I will discuss right stuff when Road 200 North is repaired. Those things have nothing to do with the other, as we are not in control of 200 North. The commissioners pay for right stuff, and I believe the sheriff's department is independently paying for ADP. So it makes no sense to me why we would pay for two systems. We've been paying for right stuff for a year and a half now. The sheriff's department would have that amount of money to pay for some of the other things that they would use. So this is the time frame of how we have been trying to get everybody on the same page to use the same timekeeping software. Stephanie, I don't know if you want to speak to any of the difficulties that you have with having the two different pay structures. Could you have the microphone, please? There you go.
It just adds more work on me because I have to essentially do two different types of payroll in one setting, because right now, all the other departments that use Right Stuff, I can upload right into our payroll system. I have to manually do all of theirs. I have the ability, and I believe Debbie, to check everyone's time. So if anything comes into question, we can look at that. Not everyone can look at everyone's time, only supervisors and ourselves. And it just has caused the whole it just puts more work on the whole payroll process. Because it also keeps everyone's time as well, their vacation and comp time and sick time, longevity. That helps us when employees retire, so we know what their payout is, and we have something to compare that to.
So we also got reprimanded from State Board of Accounts after the audit because not everyone was using the adopted timekeeping system, and it needed to be corrected because there was a lack of cooperation from the sheriff's department in getting the information the State Board of Accounts required to get this done. This has gone on for over a year now. This is ridiculous in my opinion, and it needs to be corrected. And that's the reason the ordinance is being introduced.
So you want to read it? Would you like to please read the ordinance?
The ordinance is a resolution amending the pay schedule for Henry County employees, whereas Indiana Code 36-2-8-2 provides that a county auditor and treasurer may pay county employees monthly, twice every month, every 2 weeks, or weekly, and that the manner of payment must be authorized by the county executive. And whereas Henry County has licensed the Right Stuff software for timekeeping and payroll purposes, and use of the Right Stuff software has substantially lessened the administrative burden on the auditor's office in the processing of payroll. And whereas in order to alleviate the burden on the auditor's office in the processing of payroll, the auditor and treasurer wish to amend the schedule for payroll to provide that employees and officials of those departments or offices utilizing the Right Stuff software will be paid every 2 weeks, and employees and officials of those departments or offices not using the Right Stuff software will be paid monthly. And whereas the Board of Commissioners approves the schedule for payment of wages described above, now therefore be it resolved, effective, there's a blank line, employees or officials in departments of officers utilizing Right Stuff software for timekeeping shall be paid every 2 weeks on the dates listed in the attachment Exhibit A. Point number 2, effective, and there's a blank line, employees or officials in departments or officers or offices that do not use Right Stuff software for timekeeping shall be paid monthly on the 15th day of each month. Effective date, this resolution shall be effective upon passage. Repealer, all resolutions or parts of resolutions in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. any provision herein contained which is found by a court of competent jurisdiction to be unlawful or which by operation of law shall be deemed unenforceable, shall be omitted, but the rest and remainder of this resolution, to the extent feasible, shall remain in full force and effect, adopted by the Board of Commissioners, and the dates have been left blank.
So a couple things. State statute says that the auditor and treasurer set the pay schedule that we approve. The auditor's office and the treasurer's office had nothing to do with this ordinance. It was coming from the commissioners. So anybody that's going after the auditor or the treasurer, please stop. Because I know that she's already got some phone calls. So I ask that you please stop. Just a minute, just a minute. Number two, the date that is set is a date that says, the sheriff has says he needs 3 weeks to get it implemented. He said it multiple times that he needs 3 weeks to get it implemented. I am willing to do August the 1st, which is 6 weeks to get it implemented. Get the timekeeping software, double the time that you've requested, no problem whatsoever. Anybody else up here?
I just can't believe this has drug on for over a year. And this system was specifically designed, set up for law enforcement. That's where it came from. This is to keep track of everyone, because we had people, and this started out from an audit done at the highway department, that there were people who had been given vacation who weren't eligible and had left, and we paid out and weren't supposed to. People were taking sick days that they had not earned. Some were taking more than what they had. So this whole software system was designed, set up, and made sure that all these things and items are tracked not only for the benefit of the employees, but for the benefit of the county. Because this is your taxpayer money that you're squandering away that we can't recover. And it's ridiculous. So now this is being done, this is being fixed, and whether you like it or not, the policy says whatever adopted software for payroll by the commissioners is the software that we use. We've been going on this for over a year trying to get this implemented. So I don't understand what the holdup is. I don't know why we're dragging our feet on it. Everyone else has done it but one department. So enough's enough.
Sheriff?
Forgive me if I'm a little bit scattered here because we only had an hour and 40 minutes of heads up before the meeting time in regard to this. No conversation whatsoever in regard to changing about 80 employees' payroll from every other week to once a month. So about an hour and 40-minute heads up, knew nothing about it. So I'm going to be a little bit scattered and just bear with me, please. One thing that I want to point out, we are not, I know we keep talking about a department. We are not a department. We're the sheriff's office. And, you know, the time frame that was read off and the statements that have been made, they sound good, and they sound like, you know, boy, this sheriff, man, why is he being such a pain? One comment that is very much of interest is that we do pay for our own timekeeping software out of our commissary funds. Does not come out of our budget. It does not.
Correct.
Correct, yeah.
Correct. I knew it
Yeah,
came out of commissary.
Let me talk here and without interruption, please. So as Commissioner Plummer said, it don't make sense at a glance of why would we want to pay for this? Hey, I would love to have $12,000 of extra commissary money per year in our account. So that would have to tell a reasonable person that there must be some reason that we're willing to pay $12,000 of our own funds, not taxpayer funds, for this software system. In fact, there are many reasons. And it's interesting, Commissioner Plummer just said, stop the phone calls or whatever. I don't know that, I know we got a phone call and you said this has nothing to do, this is you all that wants this, not their office. Is that accurate?
Pardon me?
You said,
I said they did not do the ordinance. They did not request this ordinance.
gotcha, okay. Well, reading the ordinance, it says the auditor and.
Because by state statute.
sorry.
but Stop, John, for a second. Joel, could you please?
By state law, the auditor and treasurer have to set up the pay schedule and approved by the commissioners. So I think they have to at least be in agreement with what it is, even if they didn't originate the idea to change it. They have to at least be on board with it.
Well, I'm just simply reading the resolution. It says the auditor and treasurer wish to amend the schedule for payroll to provide that employees and officials in it of those departments, again, we're in office. So I appreciate the statement, but it plainly says the auditor and treasurer wish to amend the schedule.
They did not request this ordinance. I'm
Yeah.
making that very clear. I don't know how more clear to make it. They did not request the ordinance.
So what is the ultimate goal? I assume it's time saving for the auditor's office, is that correct?
It makes processing payroll easy. It's time saving for the auditor and State Board of Accounts as well. We got our hands smacked in the State Board of Accounts in the audit that was done in 2023 because of not having the ease of getting some of the payroll records. You can shake your head no all you want to. I met with State Board of Accounts and so did Commissioner Dellinger.
I also met with them in regard to this specific thing. Commissioner Plummer, let me.
John, what we're going to end up doing is you're going to make a point, I'm going to make a point, you're going to make a point, and we could stand here for 3 hours to do this. This is why we are doing it. Move on. What's your next point?
Bob, that's why you lost the election right there. So
No,
just
stop.
yeah, just
Stop.
understand that.
Okay. Okay,
Thank you.
what we're gonna do here, we're gonna put a date on this resolution. And Commissioner Plummer mentioned an effective date in August. Does that,
August 1st.
August 1st, does that time frame help? But we'll make the point here and we're gonna move on. And I think we have talked about this for a long enough period of time based on the idea that I think the county is supposed to be operating under one timekeeping, and that's what I have been told.
Could I speak to that? So we got an attorney involved in regard to that specific thing. And in regard to the resolution that the sheriff's department has to use the timekeeping system, the timekeeping software that the commissioners say. That the reason we got an attorney involved was specifically that. And the reason that this didn't go any further is because I believe the county was fully aware after our attorney got involved that the sheriff's office does not have to use whatever payroll system the commissioners say. They simply have to abide by the State Board of Accounts requirements for timekeeping. So that's an important point because that was kind of glossed over. That is the reason I think pretty clearly that now we're taking, trying to figure what are the other legal steps because that first one didn't fly. So I would appreciate getting to express the reasons that we have not switched over. So we attempted to switch over, approximately a 3-month time span that the sheriff's office did the right stuff payroll as a trial run. And there were so many issues with it. We counted up our time. We had invested 200 man hours in our supervisors trying to implement the right stuff. And I have heard this is made for law enforcement. I have heard that over and over. It's interesting to note there are only 2 counties, 2 sheriff's offices out of the entire state that use the right stuff. That's 92. So there's 90 counties that do not use the right stuff. the sheriff's offices that use it don't even have the same setup. We're a 12-hour work day. The other offices, they are an 8-hour. So there are many, many reasons why we have not implemented this.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Because of something you said. So you said you've worked 200 hours, so everybody's logged in, created their user IDs, went into the right stuff, done all of that within right stuff itself, within the software? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying that our brass, our supervisors, have spent over 200 hours collectively trying to implement right stuff.
Within the software itself? Trying to implement right stuff software by logging into the software, setting up, training employees, setting up test employees, whether it's in the jail or in the sheriff's office.
Talking about 200 man hours, which would include meetings, which would include meeting officers to try to explain how it sets up. We had Zoom meetings. And I called the lady at Right Stuff, very nice lady. I called her not too long ago because it has been my intent to try to make this work. Again, we tried for 3 months. It cost so much time and there were so many glitches in the system for the sheriff's office sake that it just became, it was just impossible. And the Right Stuff, their IT people said, hey, look, we can design this any way that you need it. We just need you to tell us what you need and how you need. And my response to that is, we are not timekeeping software designers. We don't have time to, we have a program, ADP, which is a much larger, nationally recognized timekeeping program that we have used for years. And so if it is simply, and I understand that if it's simply for saving time, so I assume switching the offset to this is if we switch to once a month, paying our employees once a month, that saves a large amount of time. Is that accurate?
Oh, you said you weren't listening to me?
Our payroll lady is not even listening when we're having a discussion about payroll.
Well, because this has nothing to do with her.
I'm
This
sorry.
ordinance has nothing to do with her day-to-day work. For what we're deciding right here, she doesn't have to be in the conversation.
Oh, my
Guys,
this seems to be only about payroll, but so I guess that question then I can direct at you all is why are we switching to only being paid once a month? What is the reasoning for that?
it will save time. It will make it easier. You guys don't understand what goes on up here.
Okay. So let me speak to that. I get it will save time. I have how many supervisors that have to deal with this? So who's do we put a higher priority on, let's say, the auditor time? Who cares about our staff and our supervisors who have to put in enormous amounts of hours? So where does that balance come in at? So I want to go back to the point of if we're switching to 1 month simply to save time, and that is the ultimate goal, and I understand that it would save time, why would the entire county not switch over?
They are over on, everybody is on Right Stuff.
I'm asking if saving.
Because Right Stuff, she does not have to input anything into Right Stuff. She does not have to go through everything from the transmittals and from ADP. They clock in, they clock out. It just does not take the amount of time. Can we move on?
Well, so let me talk about a couple more things here.
John, this wasn't done just for a time savings as far as for the auditor's office.
Okay.
The reason that I was on board with us switching to Right Stuff, as I said a minute ago, there was an audit done through the highway department, and it'd been going on for years and nobody caught it. That we were paying people for hours they didn't get. We were paying people who had left for hours that they had already used. It caused vacation mess ups because people were getting, instead of getting 1 week's vacation, they were taking 2 and 3 and were being approved. This took the headache off the department heads of trying to track who was taking what, when, and where, because Right Stuff automatically tracks everyone's vacation, everyone's comp time, everyone's sick days. All that stuff is automatically done and taken care of. This takes the headache away from department heads and supervisors. This way it takes the argument away from employees who said, oh, I didn't take that day off. Yes, you did. Right here it is. This is the day you took it. It made everything simplified so that when people did leave, the county wasn't paying 2 and 3 and 4 weeks of either vacation or sick time that someone wasn't entitled to. Or if they quit and left and it was finally figured out that it was done, we couldn't recoup that money that was county money that was basically taken. This was supposed to clean all this up. This was the reason Right Stuff was done, was to correct all these issues. Everyone else in the county had a lot of the same glitches and things, and it wasn't even set up for their way they paid out is slightly different than your guys's. Right Stuff said they would work with you guys to make sure that everything was addressed. All we asked was for some cooperation to see if this was going to work. It's drug on for over a year and nothing has been done. That's where my frustration level comes in.
So
Do I want to change how you guys get paid? No.
Okay, then you have the option to vote no to this resolution now.
I do,
let
but
me-
I want this
Yeah,
done.
okay.
Because it needs to be taken care of. It's been going on for over a year.
Okay, so let me ask you this question, or let me just say this. All of those things that you mentioned, that Right Stuff tracks vacation, it tracks this and that. Do you think that ADP does not track that?
Apparently it wasn't doing it accurately enough, and that was what we got reprimanded by State Board of Accounts for, was because they couldn't get the information from ADP through your department, and lack of cooperation was why we got our hands smacked.
From my administration?
You know what?
Yes.
I'm just going to make the motion that you have till August the 1st to implement Right Stuff.
So you're
of
not going to let us,
2024.
you're not going to let us talk about the issues?
I
You're
think that this is just going to descend into an argument back and forth. So
Okay.
I'm going to make the motion.
Well,
August
you
the
have the
1st,
option to
2024,
not argue back and forth. I have a few things more that I would like to say.
effective-
I want our taxpayers and our citizens to understand something very, very clearly. You just expressed it. Oh, I don't want to do this, and it's not really just the time savings. This is targeting our office.
I'd have done it to any other department.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, please allow me to state a train of thought, okay? So you are holding all of these people hostage because you say that the Right Stuff is the perfect tracker. ADP, you can have errors in inputting in the Right Stuff.
We can have errors every day when we get out of bed, John, but we can argue this back and forth until the cows come home, and it's not going to change a stinking thing.
We,
Okay.
we are
Bottom
not
line
holding you
is-
hostage.
I'm sorry?
You have 6 weeks to implement that. If you choose not to do it, you are holding them hostage. We are giving
I
you
was gonna
6
say,
weeks.
this has been
We'll
going
fi-
on for over a year, so who's
Well,
holding
we
who?
will file an injunction on it.
You
if that's
go
the
right
way- yeah.
ahead.
Well, we
So
did
the-
it last time.
Go right ahead.
Well,
I'm going to make the motion August the 1st, 2024. For those not using, the effective date of those using, I will use today's date because they are still on the Right Stuff software.
And I want to say one more thing. I want to remind Commissioner Dellinger that he doesn't want to do this. But I want to say one more thing that you read off, and I want to get my phone because I want to read the other part of that response about the road that was, you gave a piece of
Well,
that.
that's the only thing that he said to me. This is what I read to you is what he, or
Okay.
said to you is what he
So-
said to me.
Yep, so without reading it, I have been hounded about Right Stuff, Right Stuff, Right Stuff. The other day, I proactively texted Commissioner Wiley about County Road 200 North having potholes big enough to eat a vehicle. I know you say that you don't have anything to do with it. However, you told a lady the other day, like 8 weeks ago, that it will be fixed in 2 weeks.
I said we are weeks away and DNR is still dragging their feet. I cannot control DNR.
DNR
Corey Criswell
Hey,
made.
John.
Can I please finish?
John, can I say something to
Yes,
that
sir.
real quick? DNR and DOC want that road closed back down. They do not want you using it. They don't want us using it. They want it shut down. So they are dragging their feet at this point because they don't want it used. The agreement between DNR and Department of Corrections is responsible for the maintenance on that road from Blue River to 103. So in legal terms, so to speak, and Joel, you can correct me if I'm wrong, they're the ones that are supposed to be maintaining that stretch of road. And since they don't want you using it, they're in no hurry to do it. And we do not have the authority to use county taxpayer money to fix a road that is not in our inventory. So when everybody says that's County Road 200, technically it is not. It ends there at Blue River and becomes property of DNR from Blue River to 103. We have no jurisdiction, no control, no say-so in what happens on that. As a courtesy against their willingness, because they didn't want to, we had the gates taken down so we could use it mainly for the construction of the jail because of access off of Highway 3 when the road had so many curves in it in front of the prison. That made it easier for them to get material to the jail for the construction. We asked them if they would please leave it open because we thought it made sense for you guys to be able to use it in an emergency if there was a train or something on the other end of the road and blocking your guys' access to and from the jail. So we would love to keep it open. We are working diligently to make sure that it does stay open. But right now, we have no jurisdiction on that road whatsoever.
None.
So as soon as that gets done to us, and last I heard, the holdup was an argument over what chemicals or material that we use to maintain or repair that road, whether they are contaminant to the DNR's specification and guidelines. Once those issues are resolved, we have a crew that, and you can ask the highway department, that is on standby to fix that road immediately once we get jurisdiction over it.
So my 1 minute comment or 30-second comment was simply going to be, I just simply texted Commissioner Wiley about when that road would get fixed. The reply was working on it. When are you going to get right stuff done? So that's taken a little bit out of context.
Well, no, I did ask him when it had, one had nothing to do with the other because we have been told we need 3 weeks after the matron comes back. We need this, we need that, and we have been accommodating. I needed an update of that as well.
So again, in closing.
Please don't.
So in closing, I want to remind our taxpayers and our citizens of this. We pay for our own software. It is approved by the State Board of Accounts. And I was told, and I think I've got it in an email somewhere, that I was told that the State Board of Accounts will only approve the right stuff. And that's where legal action came into play.
I don't know where that statement came from.
Well, it came from you, Commissioner Plummer.
I
so-
don't think it did.
Good, all right. So, and there are many other reasons that
I have
obviously
not
we're not going to have
communicated with
time
State Board
to.
of Accounts regarding right stuff through this process.
There are many other reasons that we have not switched to the right stuff. We have undercover officers. We have drug task force officers that log in and log out.
Okay.
We don't want information out when exactly are they working. Not that I distrust them. I don't have a lot of confidence there, but
Excuse,
yeah, let me touch on that. I have many, and I'm speaking specifically to the interaction from the auditor's office with me. I have many, many screenshots of your deputy auditor loving the most nasty, hateful, threatening comments. It would be shocking. If I put them up on the screen, our taxpayers would absolutely.
Well, their private time is their own business.
Well, there is
Okay,
a
we need
level.
to, we
Yeah,
have a
this is-
motion on the
We
floor,
have a motion on
and
the
I'm
floor.
gonna proceed with this motion on the floor. Thank you, Sheriff, for your comments. The motion would be effective August the 1st, 2024. Employees or officials in departments or offices utilizing the Right Stuff software for timekeeping shall be paid every 2 weeks on the dates listed on the attached Exhibit A.
This will be today's date. Actually, shouldn't it be August first? Current schedule. Yeah, okay, yeah, August first on both. Okay, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Effective August 1st, employees or officials in departments or offices that do not utilize Right Stuff software for timekeeping shall be paid monthly on the 15th day of each month. Then it has the effective date of this resolution upon passage, the repealer. All resolutions or parts of the resolutions in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. And any provision herein contained which is found by a court of competent jurisdiction to be unlawful or which by operation of law shall be deemed unforeseeable shall be omitted, but the rest and remainder of this resolution, to the extent feasible, shall remain in full force and effect. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, aye. Motion passes 2-1.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second.
So moved.
I just wish there was.
Whoa, Stephanie had nothing to do with this. Nothing.